I like trains.
Hello everyone. Well, here we are again, the end of another calendar year, as tomorrow will mark the beginning of 2025. Time really flies, doesn't it? And I guess to add on to that, time is precious, and it's easy for us human beings to take things for granted and to go through the motions, myself included. But perhaps in 2025 we can take a different route. Maybe instead of going through the motions, we can appreciate things in life, which I know is challenging because life has its challenges and struggles, and for some, more so than others. But in all positive moments, take it all in, because I'm confident that if we do that, we will find more satisfaction. And maybe you can even make that your New Year's resolution. So with that out of the way, 2024 was a pretty good year for me. Overall, it was solid, but in terms of rail fanning, I didn't go out as much as I did in the last few years, but I still got as much joy and satisfaction in catching trains. And a few months ago, I posted a channel update where I mentioned I would be going back to posting daily, and I'm glad I did that. But at the beginning, I mentioned that every time I've been going out for trains, I've tried to maximize my outings, which means I at least go home seeing something decent, because I cannot stand going out, chasing trains all day, or at least looking for something, and coming home seeing nothing. It wastes time, it wastes gas, and it puts me in a bad mood. So I've tried to avoid that as much as possible, and I can say that for 2024, I did a great job of that, and I plan on doing that in the future. So 2025 is going to be a big year for me for a few reasons. Number one, it's going to be the year where I get my first full-time job. I'm not going to go into that at all, but if you're curious, please leave a comment down below, and I will be happy to answer your question as fully as possible. And then in terms of this channel, this will be the year, 2025, where I reach 1,000 YouTube subscribers. I cannot believe that. At the time I'm recording this, which admittedly is not December 31st, but it's, a few days before because I got to edit, I am at 977. So when this video comes out, it's probably a little bit higher than that. So I'm really close, really, really close. And for the last month-ish, month and a half, I guess, because I got to 900 in mid-November, I have been gaining subscribers at a rapid rate, at least in terms of my channel. It's nowhere near as big as channels that have 200, 300, 400, 500,000 subscribers. But obviously I'm not all about that. This is me. So for my standards, I'm getting a lot, and I love that. And even though I'm not all about the subscribers, views, likes, all that, it's still nice to feel appreciated, and I thank you all. But the bigger reason why I want to get to 1,000 soon is because I mentioned in a community post that I would be doing a rail fanning live stream. I don't know where I'm going to go yet. It will depend on when I hit the milestone, because at this rate I might reach it when I'm still here in Maryland, but I also might not reach it until I go back to college, which is in mid-January, so we'll see. But regardless, I'm going to do it at some point, and I promise I will make an announcement when I reach the 1,000 to where I am going, but I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to go yet. I might even do a poll, so you'll see. So, yeah, I'm excited, though. I'm excited to get to 1,000 and doing that live stream, and I hope to see a lot of you in that. So in terms of this video, this is, of course, the end of the year special, as I've been doing for the last few years. In 2021, the video was my top 25 catches. 2022 was just a slideshow of all my best catches. And then last year was my best catch from each month of the year. This year is going to be slightly different, but pretty similar. It's going to be a ranking. It's going to be top 10. But rather than it being my top 10 rarest catches, although my rarest catches are going to be in here for the most part, it's actually going to be my top 10 favorite catches. So it's my personal interpretation. Now, you may disagree with this list and be like, wait a minute, old man guy. Why is this train here and this train below it? That doesn't make sense. And, I get that. If this was a ranking for rarest catches, my list would look a lot different. And there would probably be some trains in and some trains out. But this is favorite catches because I figured I'd, change it up a little bit this year. So with that, this video is going to have top 10 favorite catches, no specific month, date, any of that. There's going to be 3 honorable mentions, and as always, there will be some spoilers. So that's kind of all I have for the intro. Thank you all again so much for your support. I hope you had a great 2024 and having a great holiday break. And for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy this end of the year special for 2024, and I will catch you all at the end. Thank you all once again for watching. Starting off with number 10, we've got Norfolk Southern 955 on April 1st. Yes, April 1st, also known as April Fool's Day. But on this April Fool's Day 2024, the railroads fooled absolutely no one, as Norfolk Southern and CSX ran their office car special trains to Augusta, Georgia for the Masters Golf Tournament. Now, where I was, the Norfolk Southern OCS was a lot closer, so I went for that instead. And I caught it in Bellwood, Pennsylvania, just east of Altoona on the NS Pittsburgh line. And as you can see, this train was led by a heritage duo, 8099, the Southern, leading, and 1069, the Virginian, second. This was my first time catching the Southern Heritage Unit, as it marked my 19th of 20. Now, as you can see, I got a pretty blurry shot of this train as it was going really fast, and I probably should have panned, so that was on me. And that's honestly the reason why this train is so low in this compilation, but it's still deserving of making it in the top 10. So with that, here's my shot of the OCS flying through Bellwood, Pennsylvania, bound for the Masters Tournament in Augusta, Georgia. At number 9, we've got CSX I116 on November the 16th. On this night/morning, because it was a little bit after midnight, I went out for I-116 and chased it on both the CSX Newcastle and Pittsburgh subdivisions, starting in Lowellville, Ohio, and then going to West Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Now, this train was kind of weird because I-116 is usually a double-stack intermodal, but on this night, it was all bare tables, so that was really strange. But as you can see in the background, that was not the reason why I went out, as locomotive 3194, the spirit of our law enforcement, and my favorite CSX locomotive, was leading with a beautiful Leslie RS5T. In Lowellville, there are several crossings where the train blows its horn for, and that's exactly why I went there to see this train. And for now, we're going to take a look at that shot of 3194 blasting its beautiful horn through downtown Lowellville, Ohio, leading the bare table I-116. At number 8, we've got CSX B773 on April 21st. This train was also chased in around the same area as I-116. I started right here at the River Road Crossing in Edinburgh, Pennsylvania on the Newcastle sub, and then I headed to West Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to see B773 tie down, and then finally I caught them flying through Wampum, Pennsylvania. Now, B773 is a loaded ethanol train that originates in Chicago, Illinois on CSX tracks. That's where it interchanges with Canadian National. And B773 typically has CN power, but on this day it didn't. However, the CSX power it had was very neat, as leading was locomotive 1973, the Chessie System Heritage Unit, and trailing behind it were a pair of fresh EMD SD70M-2 rebuilds that were flared, locomotives 4713 and 4714. So, all in all, this was a very neat train, and I found a lot of satisfaction in catching it because it tied down right next to the old West Pittsburgh station on the low line of the Pittsburgh sub. So I basically had it to myself for a little bit. Don't worry, I didn't trespass, I didn't do anything stupid. I just felt like taking advantage of the train parked when there was no crew on it. But eventually, the crew arrived, and I was able to catch it in West Pittsburgh, and we're going to take a look at that shot right now. At number 7, we have Norfolk Southern 39G on February 10th. I caught this train in Wilmerding, Pennsylvania on the NS Pittsburgh line. Now, one thing I really like when it comes to rail fanning is catching really long trains, and the reason is because I really enjoy watching locomotives being put to the test. 39G is typically one of the longest trains that Norfolk Southern runs around the Pittsburgh area, and on this day, it did not disappoint, as 39G was 238 cars and 980 axles, marking it the longest train I have seen to date. And the locomotive lash-up on this train was neat too, as you can see. The leader was 8114, the original NS Heritage unit, but the other two locomotives were cool as well. Trailing second was 2700, an EMD SD70M-2, and shortly after I caught this train, all of NS's SD70M-2s were stored. Some of them, I believe, are going to be rebuilt into EMD SD70ACCs, and locomotives 1250 and 1251 are the two active SD70ACCs currently. But the third unit was perhaps even cooler than that. NS 5225 and EMD GP38-2 high hood. This was my first high hood I had ever caught on a moving train, and I can say that I have caught another, so stay tuned, but that video is not going to be up for a little bit, but regardless, that's for a different day. For now, we're going to take a look at 39G, a massive one to say the least, passing through Wilmerding, Pennsylvania westbound on the Pittsburgh line. At number 6, we have CSX G154 on March 3rd. I caught this train in Wampum, Pennsylvania, next to a sewage plant, but there was also a private crossing, and the train actually blew its horn for there, so that was pretty cool. Anyways, G154 is an empty grain train that runs from Brunswick, Maryland to Bensenville, Illinois. G153 is its eastbound counterpart, and I actually caught that as well. And to my understanding, this train has not ran since this, so I was very glad to catch it. And in Bensenville, the train interchanges from CSX to Canadian Pacific, which is now CPKC. And it's pretty ironic because pretty much all of the cars were Canadian Pacific, but both of the locomotives were KCS AC44s. And the leader was especially why this train is included. 4529, which is in the Gray Ghost scheme. This was my first Gray Ghost I'd ever seen lead, and I'm not sure if I will ever see one again, so even if I don't, I'm glad I caught this once. And the last thing about this train is that if I was ranking these trains based on rarity, this would likely be number 1, as catching a Gray Ghost leading in 2024, especially in Pennsylvania, is very, very uncommon. So with that, here's this catch of G154 westbound through Wampum, Pennsylvania with a KCS Gray Ghost on point. Well, we have reached the top 5, and coming in at number 5, we have CSX M372 on June 9th. I chased this train in 3 spots on the old main line, first in Monrovia, Maryland, then in Mount Airy, Maryland, and then finally Sykesville, Maryland. This train was awesome, and probably one of my favorite M372s of all time for many reasons. First of all, the lead engine was locomotive 1899, the Pere Marquette Heritage Unit, which is honestly one of my favorites. I really like the paint scheme, and it's very similar to 1869 C&O, which is another one of my favorites. Now, as you all know, locomotives are just one aspect of trains that I really like, as I'm also a big fan of rolling stock, and M372 is typically a train that I highly anticipate running because of its rolling stock. And this M372's rolling stock did not disappoint whatsoever. The rolling stock of interest on this 372 goes as follows: a Wisconsin Central boxcar, many CSX autoparts boxcars, some of them having NYC/Conrail reporting marks, a Guilford Main Central boxcar, which is also not something you see every day, and perhaps the coolest of all, a Seaboard System auto parts boxcar. Now, these 86-foot boxcars are pretty cool to see on 372 because they typically get dropped off for storage somewhere in Delaware on the CSX Philly sub. But the Seaboard System boxcar is especially rare. You typically see the CSX, Conrail, New York Central, and sometimes even Chessie System, but there are very few Seaboard System auto parts boxcars left. And the fact that this was on the same train as a heritage unit leading made this catch so much more special. I want to shout out David Moss for providing the light for this next shot, as we're going to see M372 climb up the grade in Mount Airy, Maryland. I think we may have. These are old. Main Central. Yep. Oh, look at that. Look at that character. Is that Bad Kitty? I don't know what that was. He's loose. Because right now when I'm filming this, it's baseball season. This says NYC on it. No Chessies. But here comes the very special. The other side's faded. You can still see it. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna see the conductor side and Sykesville. So, Wisconsin Central. I think that's it for the rolling stock of interest, but that's okay. For us to go to Sykesville from Mount Airy for part 3. At number 4, we've got Norfolk Southern 12Z on July the 8th. On this day, I chased this train on the Norfolk Southern Hagerstown District in 4 different spots along the state of Virginia, beginning in Overall, crossing the trestle that parallels US 340, then crossing over another bridge in Bentonville, and then from there, I went to CP Warren, a CPL signal that still is active today but won't be active much longer, in Front Royal, and then finally passing the Boyce train station in Boyce. This 12Z was being led by locomotive 1074, the Lackawanna Heritage Unit, which at the time marked me catching all 20 NS Heritage units. However, since this, Norfolk Southern is actually starting to make more Heritage units, as there is actually 21 of them. 4851, also known as the TAG unit, Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia, is Norfolk Southern's 21st Heritage unit, so I have technically not caught all of them yet, but hopefully I get that at some point. But regardless, I'm glad that I have caught the original 20. Now, a few months ago when I made my Heritage unit compilation video, I featured the shot of the train passing the CPL, but this time I'm actually going to feature the first shot I got of 1074 crossing over the trestle in Overall. So that's what we're going to see right now, and I hope you all enjoy. At number 3, we have Norfolk Southern 25G on September the 8th. This was another train chase of Heritage units, except this time it was another duo, as leading was NS 8098, the Conrail, and the third unit was 1069, the Virginian, featured once again in this compilation, and it might not even be the last time you see the Virginian in this video. I chased this train on 2 different subdivisions and 3 different spots, as I started here in Homestead, Pennsylvania on the NS Mon line, crossing Amity Street and passing the station. From here, I went up the road a little bit, passing Pittsburgh, to Hayesville, Pennsylvania, where there was a nice straightaway. Hayesville is also home to the only grade crossing on the Fort Wayne line east of Conway. From there, I went to Rochester, Pennsylvania to catch the train for the last time, as after 25G made a brief crew change in Conway, I caught it passing there under a bridge. This was an awesome chase because not only was this a Heritage duo, but the lighting was perfect. 25G is honestly the best train to have a lash-up such as this, as it usually runs westbound around the late afternoon, early evening, which is exactly what it did on this day. So the lighting is great, and it was awesome that there were nice blue skies to catch this train. We will now take a look at my shot of this train flying through Hayesville, Pennsylvania, crossing River Road at about 50 miles an hour. Here he is. Well, the Virginian strikes thrice, as coming in at number 2 we have Norfolk Southern 15M on March 2nd. I chased this manifest train in 17 different spots along Norfolk Southern's Youngstown line, from Ashtabula, Ohio to New Brighton, Pennsylvania, which is actually the whole Youngstown line, so that was amazing. I had never chased a Class 1 railroad as much as I did on this day. And as you can see, the lead engine was 1069, the Virginian, as this was the first of 3 times I caught it in 2024 and the only time leading. Trailing second was a Canadian Pacific GE AC44 rebuild, technically a CM44 like CSX, and third was a brand new Norfolk Southern GE AC44 C6M, which was picked up on this train in Erie. Now normally I would have put 25G ahead of this train, but like I said, this is my top 10 favorite catches, not necessarily the rarest, and the reason is because I caught this in 17 different spots versus only 3 for the other train, so I really don't know how you can beat that. Oh wait, that's right, we haven't gotten to number 1 yet, but you'll see that later. Out of the 17 different locations from this chase, I decided to use my shot of the train going through Cherry Valley, crossing State Route 6. So here it is, right now. Before we get to number 1, here are 3 honorable mentions. Honorable mention number 1 is CSX I116 on November 4th in Wampum, Pennsylvania on the CSX Pittsburgh sub. This train was led by a heritage duo. Leading was 1827, the Baltimore and Ohio, and as a mid-DPU was 1852, the Western Maryland. Now this is pretty ironic because I-115 originates in Chambersburg, which is on Western Maryland trackage, and then eventually at Cherry Run the train goes onto the Cumberland sub, and eventually the Keystone sub, Pittsburgh sub, Newcastle sub, and beyond, which is all Baltimore and Ohio trackage. So I find it pretty cool that both of these locomotives are pretty accurately representing this train's route. So with that, here's my shot of I-115 going through Wampum, and I hope you enjoy. CSX 1852, the Western Maryland, and I've now seen it 3 times. For honorable mention number 2, we have Norfolk Southern 63V, a loaded trash train, on November the 2nd. On this day, I was out around the Norfolk Southern Cleveland line / Bayard branch trying to catch trains passing old Pennsylvania Railroad position light signals. I spent most of my day chasing 62V, but once I got to Conway, I noticed 63V was pulling out of there, so I decided to chase it going west. And it was in the late afternoon, early evening, so the lighting was great. And as you can see at this shot, right here, I got an amazing golden hour capture. 63V is pictured here passing the Vanport signals in Vanport, Pennsylvania, with a decent leader too, locomotive 1814. But like I said, it's not just about the locomotives, as these signals are unfortunately seeing their last days. I'm not sure exactly when they're going to get replaced, but the time is ticking, which is pretty unfortunate. But whenever they do go away, I'm glad I was at least able to get them a few times. Here's another shot I got of this train as I chased it to East Liverpool, Ohio, just over the PA-Ohio border. And as you can see, there are position light signals here too. But the shot I'm going to feature in this video is the one at Vanport because of the lighting. I don't think I've ever gotten a shot that good in the golden hour. And the fact that the position light signals were there too made it all more special. So let's take a look at that shot of 63V with an SD70ACC leading past old position light signals through golden hour light. Our third and final honorable mention is a meet between two Maryland Midland trains on July 25th. On this day, I was primarily chasing the UBST, which is pictured right here, which had locomotive 3586 and EMD GP38-2 leading. For that reason alone, I decided to chase it because I had yet to see 3586 in action, and honestly, it sounds pretty awesome, especially when notched up, as do most EMDs. But anyways, one of the spots on this chase I got was at Y Road in Kemar, and right as the UBST was exiting the Woodsboro secondary, here came the UBHF at full throttle going west. Right after the head end of the UBST passed, the UBHF rolled through. As you can see, it was a perfect meet. Now this was only possible because starting in 2023, the Maryland Midland started running extra stone trains in the morning on Tuesdays and Thursdays, as it and the UBHF would be running in the daylight. And this was a Thursday, so of course they would both be running. But even then, I don't think that this event is all that common, or at least this perfect of a meet. And with that, I was extremely happy to catch this. And I guess the last thing is that 3450, as you can see, that was leading the UBHF, was on its last days. I believe this was the last time I actually caught 3450 before it was sent in storage. So that, of course, added to this catch. And with that, I hope you enjoy this video of a sneak peek of a future video featuring a perfect meet between the Maryland Midland UBST and UBHF. And last but not least, coming in at number 1, we have Canadian National / Bessemer and Lake Erie L523 on September 28th. L523, also known as the north end of the line misc run, ran up to the Erie branch to Girard on this day. This is a move that only happens once every few months, and this was the first time I ever got to chase the misc to Girard. But not only did I get to do that, I chased it the entire way. From Greenville all the way up to Girard. I watched the train switch a little bit, and then I saw them going to Conneaut. They had some car exchange there with the ore cars, and then back south. This was the first time that, of course, I chased the misc going to Girard, but also chased it the entire way, and boy, wasn't an awesome chase. And of course, the power was awesome too, as locomotives 862 and 878, the SD38 duo, was on it. And I must say, this was a train that I had been waiting to get for a very long time on the Bessemer and Lake Erie Railroad. And when I found out that this train was running, I knew that I had to take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. In the past, I had seen a lot of cool operations on this line, from Bessemer Power pulling ore empties, the few times the Bessemer locomotives pulled a loaded stone train, meets between the ore and misc runs, SD38 duos, orange duos, going down to North Bessemer, to Butler, you name it. This was the one train that I had not seen yet. And now that I have, I can officially say that I have checked off every single train on my bucket list on this railroad. I know that there was some stuff before I came up to college that I missed on this railroad, like the Illinois Central Death Stars, but I'm still very, very, very satisfied with everything that I have seen on this line, because I know that when this is all gone, I will look back and cherish all the moments that I caught this train and feel very grateful about it. It's kind of like what I mentioned at the beginning of the video. If you take in all the good moments, you will find more satisfaction and joy in life. That's exactly what I did with this chase, and I think that it perfectly sums up my year for 2024. So with that, I hope you enjoy this final clip of the misc leaving Conneaut heading south with 878 leading the way, notched up. Well, we've reached the end of this video and the year. Thank you all again for your support. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you enjoyed this lengthy yet eventful video. And as always, I hope you all have a great day wherever you may be. And this is the last time you're going to see me this year, so I'll catch you in 2025. And I look forward to spending time with you all at the tracks, with more rail fanning adventures and more videos, and of course, the live stream that's coming up soon. So thank you all again, and Happy New Year!